It's December 16th, 2025, and I'm looking today just to briefly describe how a synergistic circuit develops and how it expresses the energy. So today we have Moon. It's right now at 16 degrees, 37 minutes Scorpio, which this in synergistic astrology ends up being the 17th degree because we're already moving in the 17th degree. And this happens to be the vibe 188, or the reflective collaborative openness. And today, what I'm actually doing is showing this circuit, because I'm not just describing a personality trait or a vibe. I'm describing how energy develops, how a raw current moves from a primitive or a distorted expression into a clean, useful, integrated one. In this framework, energy is neutral. It isn't moral. It's like electricity. What matters is how it's carried and what it's used for. So when you see something that looks negative, defensive, reactive, indulgent, rigid, preachy, my goal isn't to label it and condemn it. My goal is to ask, what is this energy trying to do? Where is it getting stuck? And what are the steps to convert it into a positive expression? That's what the synergistic circuit is for. So a synergistic circuit is a developmental pathway. It has its base, its stasia, the nexus, and the Elias quantum point. Think of it like 4 gates in one field. The base is the raw impulse. It's the first way the energy appears. It often shows up unintegrated, so the shadow form can appear first. The stasia is the first sort of correction or movement point, we would say. Stasia is where the raw impulse meets a little bit of resistance. You can't keep doing it that way and expect a clean outcome. The nexus is the second sort of adjustment point. And it often tests you through mindset, group dynamics, strategy, or detachment, depending on the circuit. And finally, the Elias quantum point is the mature landing. That's the same energy now living in an adult form, clean embodiment that serves the whole. So the point isn't learn the definition. The point is convert the current. The key mechanic here is a transit on any point activates the whole circuit. So wherever it's hitting, if it's hitting the nexus, or if it's hitting the exact degree of the stasia, or the Elias quantum point, or the base, it will activate the entire circuit. Now here's the big idea I want to add, because it's what makes the system practical. It's a synergistic circuit is not 4 separate meanings, it's one loop. So when something transits any one point, it doesn't only trigger that point. Again, it's going to trigger the entire circuit. The whole thing comes alive. And when the circuit is activated, you often feel it as a pressure wave. One part of you reacts from base, one part tries to correct the stasia, one part tries to model or strategize the nexus, and then one part tries to act, the Elias quantum point. That's why transits can feel like everything at once. It's not chaos, it's the circuit running. And the diagnostic question is, to use this in daily life, ask one question: where did it hit first? Because wherever it hit determines the first distortion you'll face and the next correction step you need. If it hits base, the raw impulse leads you to, you must move into the stasia correction. If it hits stasia, you'll feel integrity, pressure, and you must find that through the nexus. If it hits the nexus, you'll get ideas, reform, detachment, or group friction, and you must land it through the Elias quantum point action. If it hits the Elias quantum point, you'll feel the urgency to act. And the test becomes, did you integrate base truth and stasia alignment first? So a transit runs the circuit, and your job is to carry the current forward, not get stuck in the adjustments. Why we're using the moon today? Again, I just picked it. The moon, I mean, it's a reflector of things. and it's always a major thing. And again, you can use this in your natal chart. So you can use this in a natal chart. Really any chart you can use this in it, because it's always showing the circuit of the energy. All right, so at a base Scorpio 16, we're looking under the surface here. The drive here is emotional truth through depth. This energy wants the real motive, the real feeling, the real story under the story. So collaboration is honest and not fake. That's what the Scorpio 16 is looking like. You know, and if we're just looking at the book here, Scorpio 16, all right, says this. Again, this reflective, collaborative openness. The Scorpio 16 to the Elias quantum point of Aries 8. The vibration embodies a joyful and inspired approach to life, blending deep appreciation for meaningful connections with a readiness for new experiences. Individuals influenced by this frequency are naturally expressive and find beauty in simple moments. Yet they're also forward-looking, eager to embrace fresh opportunities with enthusiasm. Now it goes through, describes the negative. Individuals can be overly cautious, tense, or guarded here. And then it deals with the drives, the fuel, the expression, the integration. You can go through all the other side of the fixed water, the fixed star that it's attached with, the nakshatra that it's attached with. These are all, and even the tarot card, which is the Six of Cups. These are all things you can look at, and, you know, depending on a person's, what I call their language, you can kind of see the dynamic. So clean, this is really about self-awareness, emotional honesty. You can name what's actually happening without drama. You can sense hidden pressure in a room and bring it into the light gently. Okay, collaboration becomes stronger because the truth is spoken. Practical clean behaviors of this one is, what am I actually afraid of right now? What do I actually want here? What is the unmet need underneath the reaction? What's the real issue, not the surface argument? Shadow side of this energy can be brooding, suspicion, surveillance, replaying old stories, reading motives into everything, assuming betrayal, emotional tension that blocks openness. So instead of truth, it becomes very defensive interpretation. Moon makes this even stronger because the moon dealing with memory. So the shadow might feel like, I've seen this movie before. I know how this ends. I can't trust this. These are all phrases that shadow expressions of this energy would do. The base correction rule. When base is shadow, you don't think harder. You move the circuit forward into the Stasia, which is Sagittarius 22, called Open the Windows. All right. Stasia is the first hiccup gate. All right. It's the first one where we're like, okay, oh, well, we need to make an adjustment here. And again, the Sagittarius 22, let me see here, is the expansive, intuitive strategist. That's what you're looking at with Sagittarius 22. All right. So this one, it's going to do perspective, liberation. It's air in the room, truth that frees instead of truth that accuses. This is its first sort of adjustment point. This is one of the things needed with the base degree of Scorpio 17. All right. So this clean Stasia, you widen the frame. You don't let your past define the present automatically. You speak truth with moral courage, but it's liberating, not punitive. You take yourself out of the tunnel vision. Practical clean behaviors are, you ask, what else could be true? You step back. What is the larger purpose here? You choose curiosity over certainty, and you name the value you're trying to protect. How the shadow, though, of the Stasia works in real life. The shadow becomes very preachy, blunt. My truth is law. There's a moral superiority, righteous certainty that actually closes the conversation instead of opening it. So the Stasia correction here step is, before you confront, assume, or accuse, generate two alternative explanations. Not fantasies, but reasonable alternatives. Then ask one clean question. Help me understand what you meant by that. What was your intention here? What outcome are you trying to create? That single move opens the windows and it breaks the sealed loop. If you can do that, if you can't do that, I should say, you're still stuck at this base shadow. The nexus then is Aquarius 27. All right. The next move after we've opened the window is Aquarius 27. And Aquarius 27, this is found on page 706. This is the 323rd vibe called the unique expressive impact. And what you're looking at here is this is where the circuit moves from personal truth and moral framing into a systems and models. It's better collaboration requires better structure. New patterns, new agreement, new models for how humans work together. So the clean nexus here for real life is you become inventive, a humanitarian, forward thinking. You ask, what system would make this healthier for everyone? You can innovate the structure so collaboration is real. Practical clean behaviors for this would be, what agreement would prevent this problem next time? What boundary would make this safe? What shared rule of engagement? What process would make honesty easier? The shadow side here becomes, you just become detached, contrarian, aloof, I'm above emotion. Reform is rebellion, not as repair. Sort of just stand, sort of almost like this isn't me. So this nexus correction step, what it does is it turns your emotion into structure. Write one rule, one agreement, one container. So if you're upset, we pause and return to a specific time. We don't discuss big issues when we're hungry or tired. We name the problem, then we each offer one solution. No sarcasm in conflict. If it happens, we reset. That's really practical application of this. And finally, we get to the Elias quantum point, which is Aries 8. Move with intention. All right, so Aries 8, what we're looking at here is the 85th vibe, or the analytical innovative transformation. That's an Aries 8. All right, so with Aries 8, and this is the Elias quantum, this is where it's trying to land. This is where that Scorpio 17 is landing, is in Aries 8, to move with intention. So what you're looking at here, again, with the Scorpio 17, which you have here as the ambitious idealistic action. So with the ambitious idealistic action, you're looking to move with intention. All right. So this is where the whole circuit becomes real. You stop looping, stop framing, stop theorizing, and you act cleanly. So the clean Elias quantum point here is decisive action based on insight. One bold experiment, initiative that respects the relationship and the truth. You actually change something. It's practical, it's clean behaviors today. What would that look like? Well, you make the call. You start the new habit. You have the conversation with a plan. Implement the boundary. You do the repair. The shadow here is, it just is impulsive, it's pushy. I'm changing this now without listening, initiating conflict instead of initiating growth. That's the danger. The Elias quantum point force without base truth, without the Stasia perspective, without the nexus structure, becomes disruptive. So the Elias quantum point correction step here is take one action that is small enough to test, clear enough to measure, and respectful enough to preserve trust. That's how Aries becomes intentional and not simply reactive. So the summary of this is, so with the moon again in Scorpio, Running this circuit, it starts with a deep honesty or suspicion is the shadow, open perspective, a new collaboration model, and then decisive intentional action. And that's the whole, the teaching is. When the moon hits base, it can trigger shadow first, replay guardedness, but the point is not to shame it. The point is to move forward through the gates until it lands as clean action. So here's an exercise here for the 4-step practice you can literally do. Again, with the Scorpio 16, what's the real feeling underneath my reaction? You name a sentence. Stasia, what else could be true? Give 2 alternatives. Nexus, which is Aquarius 27. What agreement or structure would make this healthy? And then finally, the Elias quantum point of Aries 8. What is one small measurable action I can take today? And that's the whole method. Energy is neutral. Circuits are developed. Transits run the circuit, and you convert shadow into clean by moving forward through the gates. This is how a synergistic circuit works. So again, if you have anything in Scorpio 17, whether it be an ascendant, the sun, the moon, Mars, Mercury, anything, any of the house cusps at Scorpio 17 or 16 in minutes, this is what you're looking at. This is the way that circuit operates. So I hope this helps to understand sort of how synergistic astrology works, at least one part of it, and what a circuit consists of. Energies. You want to let it flow like a wave, but you want to be able to ride that wave and not just get slammed by it. And that's what we're looking at. Until later.